going on there? This is Wayne with Tri-County Locksmith, and we're going to be taking our electronic lock off of this safe and applying a mechanical dial. So this is an aftermarket lock that I put on here. This safe had an attempted break-in. It survived. Basically the clutch was spun off and had some other attack things wrong with it, so we went ahead and put a lock on here. I just use it as a metal container for right now, but it's an excellent idea or opportunity to go ahead and use this as an information video. So what we're going to do is open the lock. Alright, it's going to open up, and we're going to have our bolt work back here. We're going to start with a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to check out this area right here. We're going to remove these two screws. We're then going to let the relocker drop down into here and make sure that we keep our eye on this thing. This is one of the most important parts of this safe. Basically, your relocker is designed to snap or release or fire if the lock gets tampered with. It's a security measure. It keeps the criminals out of your safe. It's one of the reasons that this safe did not get broken into. The slipper clutch did most of the work, but that was also there too. So, we remove our two screws, keep this plate. These are going to go back in here. We'll be using this for something else. We'll then need an Allen head screw, or Allen head 3/16. Yep, 3/16 Allen. We're going to remove this, this, and this. Somehow I got grease inside stuff that should not be on. Okay. I like to start at the bottom. Remove. Removed. Okay, so what we're going to do now is collect all these bolts. I'm going to need to save those. That can hang right there. It's not hurting anything. Put these in here. Got grease following me all over the place now. Open for a second. Now from the outside, I'm going to give this maybe an 1/8 of a turn, 1/4 of a turn, something like that. It's going to go ahead and come off of there just like so. The cord right here, this is just like a telephone jack, so you need to get your finger or something behind there to release that little lever, and then this cord will come out. It's exactly like a telephone jack cord. So I like to use something like an L thing like this that will reach behind there and allow you to unplug it. And then we'll just throw it on the floor to make sure it's good and tough. Okay. So now that that's been removed, this is going to go there because we don't need it anymore. Not going to need that anymore. Not going to need that anymore. Back to Phillips head screwdriver. Make sure you never shut the safe door, by the way. Or if you do, at least make sure that the bolts don't get thrown. I'm just doing this quickly, so I didn't even think about it, and of course the door's shut. Don't do that. Okay, so now that's going to come off of there. This reversal will work with just about any safe lock. I'm going to be installing the American Security Big Red on here. The installation is identically the same for the Sergeant Greenleaf lock. Okay, so basically what we've got going on here is, what we've got this telephone cord. We're going to want to go ahead and make sure we tape that little bugger down, because as we draw this through the safe, we don't want that to break. This only matters if you actually care about the lock that you're taking off. If you're just going to throw it in the garbage can, none of this matters anyway. But this is just a way to protect this so it does not get hung up when we're pulling it out. Just like so. I don't know how much grease got all over this thing. Just spread like wildfire. Okay. So that is the removal of that. Let's see, down here. Just like so. And bingo. Okay, so we're gonna have the same bolt pattern for this American Security mechanical lock as we are the Sergeant Greenleaf locks. You see right here, nose or bolt is the same size, the bolt pattern and the square body of the lock is the same size, so it doesn't matter which one you're installing, Sergeant Greenleaf or the American Security, they're going to install the same. I've left the screws in here. Basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Those are going to go in holes 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll get a little bit closer look at that. Holes number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the first thing you're going to do, is make sure that you drop all the screws on the floor, and then you have to pick them up, like so. And then you'll just grab one and do one at a time. You can also put some Loctite on here. Usually the screws that I get with most of these units already have some Loctite on them. Making sure that there's a nice tight bond between the lock body and the safe is a very good idea. Don't over tighten, don't strip, just make sure that it's tight and that they're not going to come loose. Okay. So those are going to go on there, just like so. Over a little bit so it's not lined up, so we need to loosen these. That's what happens when you get in a hurry and tighten too fast. Screw is not long enough. I'm using a top screw. There is a difference between top screws and bottom screws, apparently. Okay, so your shorter ones are going to be your top ones. That's what those are going to look like. Because the body of the lock is thicker on this one. We'll see what I'm talking about in just one second. So that's what was getting us. That wasn't reaching the threads. That's the difference between the two. Make sure that the longer ones go on the bottom. Okay, so now we have all our screws in there nice and tight and in the proper position. When you get a brand new spindle, it is probably going to be too long. Let's see if I have an example of that. Okay, so this is a brand new spindle right here. When you get your spindle, it is probably going to be this long. You are going to have to cut this down and trim it. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. This is, and these are all interchangeable. That's why it doesn't matter what the name brand is on the outside. The threading's the same, everything's the same. It's just a piece of brass. It is a very fine threaded piece of brass, so be extremely careful. So basically what we're going to do now is attach our ring dial. Make sure that your plastic bushing is in there, just as so. Ring dial is going to be just like this. Make sure your index reader is going to be at the top. We're going to go ahead and install this. Just line it up with the two holes that are right here. And one. And then we're going to have two right there. There and there. If you have holes over here and here, that's okay too. It's not going to make any bit of difference. It's drilled out for any pattern. Okay, so we're going to make sure that's as perpendicular, vertical, up and down, straight as possible. Okay. Tighten that up. So now we're going to take this, and this is like a giant nut, so to speak. So this is threaded right here to this threading, and we're going to thread this right on through. So be extremely careful. Do not cross thread. I'm going to feed that in, just like so. And we're going to begin to, you can see how this is working here. I'm simply just turning that by hand out here. That's all that's happening. So once we have that all the way in, okay, so this is super important right here. Basically, what we're going to do is you do not want to make this over tight. Extremely light fingered. Basically, all you want to do is make sure it doesn't rattle. Okay? So that's fitting just like so. It's seated all the way in there, and it's not rattling around. Now you're starting to get a little bit of rattle. Just make sure that you're right there, and then back it off a little bit. So you're going to be right in there. Now, you would basically take a marker or a piece of tape, mark this out, mark it out with a piece of tape, whatever, well, you can't use a piece of tape, mark it out with a marker, just like so. So we'll mark this all the way around. And then we'll need to unthread it. If you get violent with this and you start Herculesing and torquing on this, it will break the lock and you'll make a mess. So very, very light, delicate fingers. Think of it like a wheel nut on a front axle or something. You don't want to over torque at all. Okay, so we're going to keep this backing off. Careful on the last couple little turns. Okay, so now we can see where our marking is. We're going to go do some video editing. Oh, not really. We're actually just going to grab this one that's already cut off in the correct position, just like so you can see that. And we're going to put this one in. You can cut this off with an angle grinder. You can cut it off with just about anything. You can't use a pipe cutter, even though it's brass, simply because it'll thread, or the rollers will damage the other threading right here. So just whatever you do, use something nice, clean the edge up around it. We don't want any rough spots or any boogers on there. You want to make sure and clean that all up, round it off nice and easy. Then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to install. And bring it tight, and then we're going to back it off. And bring it in a little bit, and then back it off. Okay, so now the most important thing that we need to understand is the mounting of this lock. There's several different directions. This lock can be mounted in any different direction. And what I mean by mounting is, it's the way that the bolt meets the bolt work. This is the bolt work, this is the bolt, okay? So we need to, this is called vertical down. It's basically describing how this lock is mounted and which way the bolts come from. So this is vertical down because it's mounted vertical and it's pointing down. If it were, it could also be vertical up. And that would be if the bolt was up here and the bolt work was up here. We also have right hand and left hand. Now if it were turned 90 degrees and the bolt came out this way or that way, then you'd have a left hand or a right hand lock. That is super important because that's what these letters mean right here. VD is vertical down. VU is vertical up, and that's right hand and that's left hand. So that is ultra important because of that key keeper right there. That's the key slot that goes to your shaft, and it also attaches this part of the lock to the shaft and makes everything operate. Everything operates off of this right here. So don't mess this part up. We're going to get our little key keeper, if I can find it. This piece. Very tiny little piece of brass. And you can adjust this. You can see how that hole's gonna, that keyhole is gonna move around. It's just like a shaft and a pulley operates. You'd have that piece of key stock that goes in there. So if it were turned here, then now we would have it mounted for a left hand. If we turn it up here, it would be mounted for a vertical up, right hand, and we're back to vertical down. So now that's where we want to be lined up. And we want to insert our key. If you have trouble, it'll be ultra important to have some kind of picking device or something like this to make sure that we clean that notch out from where you cut. Make sure that's all cleaned out. And then we're going to put our key keeper in there, piece of key stock or whatever that thing is. Okay, so just put it in by hand, very, very gently. Push it till it's in flush. That's all you need. Do not tap that very hard. Okay, so now what we have is an operating safe lock. That's a little bit tight for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that back off of there, and I'm going to back it off a little bit more because it's a little too tight for what I like. So I'm just basically going to rotate this out again. One full rotation, put it back, and then I'm going to reinsert that in there. Okay, perfect. There we go. Okay, so now reinstall our back plate. This is your change key hole. That is going to get mounted up here. And these two little dots, or dimples, are going to go right there and right there. So that is going to go pretty much exactly like that. Also in this stage, we're going to reactivate our relocker. Right now it's just kind of sitting right here on the side, and it's resting right up against here, waiting for us to get to this particular point in time to where we're going to reinstall our relocker plate. And that'll just slide off there like that too. So, okay, perfect. I like to start with this screw. Seems to work the easiest for me, because then I can have leverage to manipulate the other side. Now, I'm going to be taking this pin, putting it in this hole. Beautiful. Okay. Now that the pin is in there, I'm going to reinstall this screw. Sticking out a little bit too far. Okay. So now once again, make sure that we know where our relocker is. That's in play. Make sure these are tight, but do not strip them out. You're dealing with very soft metal. So over tightening will result in it stripping, and then that will fire your relocker, and you will have a whole bunch of trouble. Okay, so now we can see that this has been replaced into this hole here. We can see that it would fire off if this piece moved. That would let that fire down into there, and the spring behind there, everything would fire off. So that's what's going on with that right there. This is the most important part of this. If you get this wrong, you will have a very expensive bill on your hands, because you have to hire a professional to come out and fix this. Do not mess this part up. This is the nastiest part of the safe. The relocker can only be accessed and manipulated back into place by a professional, and it is right behind all the hard plate and protection that this safe offers. So this is very expensive, between $250 to $500 to fix something like this. So do not mess that up. Okay. So now that that's all back in play, we'll go ahead and open the lock. Factory locks will either come with a combination key tag card, or it'll be set at 50. So basically what I'm going to do here is open this. It did operate. We'd entered the combination into it directly, and that will now operate. And then as we rotate the dial back, it will put the bolt back down, and the safe will be locked. Okay, so that's pretty much going to be the basics on that. We can go over how to change the combination and stuff another time, but now it's going to be installed. It's going to work with the factory combination that the manufacturer gave you, or the combination 50, whatever it is. Either way, they will let you know what that is. At this point in time, we go ahead and try the safe out 3 times before we ever shut the door. Operate the bolts fully once. Well, that's twice, since we already did it once. And 3 times. Boom. Everything operational, everything moving nicely. We can then go ahead and shut the safe, operate it one more time. Only if you're very confident that you've done everything correctly do we shut the door. If you had any complications opening this safe or problems with the bolt retracting, stop and call a professional. Okay, so right now, safe is locked. So we're going to open this up. Super easy combination that's already set into here, 10, 20, 30. We'll go once, pass 20 once, pass 20 twice, land on 23 times, pass 30 once, land on 30, and boom, safe's open. That's the easiest way to dial that open, and you've now completed it. You've gone from a mechanical, or you've gone from an electronic keypad back to an old school mechanical dial. This is an awesome way to make sure that your safe is going to open every single time. It takes a little bit longer to open, but as you can see, I can open that in less than 30 seconds. It's not that hard to learn. If you practice it once, twice a day, 30 days, you'll be able to open your safe just as easy as long as everything is functioning properly mechanically. So, this is a great way how to make this lock last forever and make sure that it's super reliable, EMP proof, all that fun stuff, and you don't have to worry about being locked out of your safe. This is a great way to do that. Stick around because we've done one other video on the opposite of this, taking this lock off and putting the ESL electronic keypad lock on there if you so desire to do so. And then we're going to actually put the, where did it go? It's over there. We're going to do the new secure RAM combination. It actually does a combination of both. It is a mechanical lock backup. It's a double redundant system. Basically, it's a keypad, and if the keypad fails or there's an EMP or some kind of thing, something happens, it's got a lock just like this built into it to go ahead and open it. Great way to combine the ease and convenience of a keypad lock and the security and reliability of a mechanical lock. So check it out. Hey guys, it's the end of the video. Help me out and help me help you out. Right below the description box right here is a red subscribe button. Subscribe to me and then you're going to get the latest and greatest information that I put out. Sometimes it applies to you, sometimes it doesn't. It's just going to at least let you know that we're putting out new and current information. And then right over here is a thumbs up button. Give me a thumbs up. Help this video rank higher in the searches for the search terms that you're using, and let other people be able to see this. That's the best way you can help. Interact. Leave a comment. I will get back with you if I can and try and help you answer your questions. But the more you interact and post this to Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and spread this through the social media, the more that allows me to be able to help do more videos. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And subscribe, share, and like. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.